And we are live. Welcome back. Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Marketing Without Rules, the show where we work to inspire business owners by bringing on guests who exemplify the hunter mindset. They make moves, they color outside the lines, and they have found creative ways to channel the attention of their community into currency. This show is sponsored by Blue Crocus Solutions, a web design and SEO agency focused on helping home service companies. I am your host, Lewis Vandervalk, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with Mitch Smedley. Mitch is a husband, a father, a plumbing company owner, and a pro bono comedian, on top of running Tradewinds, a consulting platform. So he founded and currently runs Smedley Plumbing and the Mastermind. He's known for doing things very differently. So he's hired a full-time videographer for quite a long time in his company, to doing things like turning everyday service calls into viral YouTube content and building a brand that's as much about trust and community as it is about fixing pipes and petting dogs. He's also the co-founder, as I mentioned, of Tradewinds Consulting, which is a training platform for tradespeople ready to go from technician to entrepreneur. Mitch, welcome to the show. Awesome to be chatting again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Looking forward to this. So for those of you who have followed the previous podcast, the Blue Crocus Experience, we chatted on there a couple times. Mitch has been a client of ours for a while, and just someone who, if you follow anything he does on social media, he's always doing something interesting. He's one of the ones that I have favorited because there's always some sort of drama or marketing coolness or something going on his social media. Something zany, yeah. He's either doing cool things on his boat, hanging out with his family, or riling people up in the comments on social media, which has been a part of growing your brand. Let's dive right into that, actually. When it comes to the social media side, what have you done that on social media that most people don't do, or certainly most business owners don't do, when it comes to kind of getting that awareness out there in the community?
Yeah, I think our biggest claim to fame when it comes to social media is we realized very, very early on that plumbing isn't why people go to social media, right? Nobody opens their social media hoping to read a really cool factoid about thermal expansion or water quality, right? So we kind of had to approach our brand in a lot more fun way to talk about the fun parts of what we do and the interesting parts of what we do, rather than bore the audience with factoids.
That's the big one. I think you could just insert any home service industry there. Plumbing, whatever. People don't want to see you building a house. We think it's cool as the people that are in the field, right? Like drunk removal, plumbing. We see that stuff and we're automatically picking out the things that the other contractor or technician is doing wrong, or sizing up how much he got paid for the job, whatever the case may be. But people don't care about that. So let's, if we were to get tactical right off the bat here, what are some of the things, maybe that you can think of that you have done that kind of catches that? So, humor, etc. But let's drop a few nuggets here for people.
Yeah. So like we do a fair amount on YouTube, and we do a fair amount on like Facebook. And so we've done full length YouTube videos highlighting just a member of one of our team, like one of our team members. And it allows the viewers to kind of see what we go throughout the day. All the traveling from jobs and the customer discussions and all the repairs that we run into and all that. But it also allows the viewers to get an idea into the technician's personality. And it's not, a lot of home service CRMs now, they'll like text your customer when you're on the way, and they'll text them like a photo and a bio or whatever of the plumber that's heading their way. And it just seems kind of cringy. It reads like a bad Bumble ad. This is Bob, your plumber, and he's, got a dog and 2 kids, and he likes riding Harleys, and it's just kind of weird, right? And so we decided that we want to get our customers a lot more personal with our team. And so we do the full-blown video stuff, and the videos are long enough that you really get a true sense of their personality, rather than like the highlights of the bad Bumble ad.
I like that. And what's while we're on the topic of social media, we'll come back to that in a second here. What's the name of the group that you have where you're sharing memes?
So we have a Facebook group called Trading Content by Tradewinds, and
Yeah,
the essential part of that group is um, for plumbing company, or not even plumbing company, trades service company business owners that don't have a social media team yet, that are trying to keep their social media with something live and entertaining. um, this content group is basically to trade memes and other content that's working to help give you ideas and maybe keep you from having to hire a marketer for a little while. Um,
amazing. I'm going to
there's
actually bring
enough
that up on
content to go
screen here
around.
first.
So
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up on screen here so people can see, because I think that there's some benefits to just, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let me share my screen here real
yeah,
quick, and we'll just bring this up here. Should be able to see that there on the screen. So it's called Trade Wins by Trading Content, and we'll tie into trade wins and all of that in later part of the episode here. But you can see here. Let's find an example. So when we get a busted water heater call at night, this is a meme. Someone's branded it here with their brand, obviously.
yep,
But you can take that for any business. It could be, a roofer. When we
yeah,
get the call that someone's got a leaky attic, or junk removal. When someone says they've got a mattress that needs removed, you can put your brand on there.
right,
This is a great one here. Uh, Pictures of anything other than what you do that gets the most engagement. We could just stop right there with the episode, and
right,
that's such valuable advice there.
yeah,
So while we're on the topic here, you made kind of the tagline of your business, fixed pipes and pet dogs.
yep.
How did that come about, and what has that done for you?
Yeah, so the idea with the tagline, I was working out in the gym like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I saw a shirt that said "Lift Heavy, Pet Dogs," and I'm like, yeah, that pretty much that's kind of a cool motto. And so I'm like, I should totally embrace that kind of a motto. And so, I came up with one that was fixed pipes and pet dogs. And it kind of caught on pretty quick. And so we actually ended up trademarking it,
Yeah,
so that nobody else could use it. But the idea for all of that ended up being, or was because all of our customers have dogs, or most of them do. Most homes have dogs,
yeah,
and the dog is always a matter of conversation before we get there or when we arrive. Like, do you like dogs? Do you not like dogs? Do I need to put the dog away? All of these things. And so we decided we would get in front of that whole question and just be like, no, we love dogs. Like, half the reason we show up to your house is so that we can pet your dog. And we've even got like custom made dog treats with our logo on them, and then they also say "Fixed Pipes Pet Dogs" on them, with two different versions. And so we give those out to customers' dogs as we're going through the neighborhood.
so you glazed over that. Someone might have missed that there, so I'm gonna reiterate that. So in this picture here, let me see if I can make it any bigger. Yeah, it's not going to let me really do that. But you can see here, Mitch there's a dog that he's petting, but he's giving the custom cookie here that says Fixed Pipes and Pet Dogs. It has your brand on it, Smedley Plumbing, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got two different versions. We've got one that'll say Smedley on it, and we've got another one that says Fixed Pipes and Pet Dogs. And the guys just grab them out of the shop and put them in their trucks, and they're ready to go.
Where
So
do you get those made?
it's a local girl that I use for all of our marketing stuff here. I try to do as much locally as I can. I may pay a little bit more for it, but I like supporting local, because supporting local is what keeps us in business. And so,
Yep.
it's funny. We tried a couple of different ways. We tried like an icing type cookie
Yep.
as a dog treat. And with those, they can actually like laser print full color images on them. And it was
Wow.
all great until they sat for like an hour in the truck and all the icing melted.
It
And it
just
was like,
slops
okay,
off to
well,
one side.
that's not gonna work. And so we had to evolve over to like a stamped, embossed cookie that can withstand the heat.
They're so good. If you, I should have had this prep, but you never know where these conversations are going to go, right? But
Yeah,
we'll, when we do the blog post for this article or for
yeah,
this episode, I'll get Andrew to get an actual big picture that we can put on there so people can see it. Maybe we can link the girl that does it. I don't know if she ships, but
Rachel Gray owns a company called Great Marketing and Business Solutions, and she handles a lot of our stuff like that.
cool. So we'll definitely get that up there. But for those watching and listening, this is a creative way that doesn't really cost a lot per customer to get what you're doing in people's hands, and you're going to create a lasting memory here. Like,
Yeah.
The dog's not going to remember you, but the owner's going to remember you giving, a really cool treat.
Yeah, and I mean we've even got like rules for how to handle the treats. The technician, before they give it, they have to give the treat to the dog in front of the homeowner. Otherwise, the homeowner never even know it happened, right?
Yep.
So it didn't change their experience at all. But then also we get them to snap rapid shots of them handing the dog the treat, and so we get some really cool photos of the dog sitting pretty right behind the treat or whatever, and then all of a sudden and just snarfing into the thing. So
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
I love it. What so you said, I think that post I was just showing, it said that you guys got 1,200 plus
Yeah,
likes,
it's like 1,200 reactions, right?
Crazy. Was that boosted or anything, or is that organic?
No, that's
cool.
just regular posts. But again, it goes to the philosophy of like, that's why people go to social media, right? They want to see a plumber doing something other than plumbing, like giving a really old sweet dog a treat.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a big deal. Now tell me, I would have had your actual Facebook page pulled up, but I actually can't because I'm in Canada, and you have blocked other countries from the
Yes.
page.
Yeah.
So tell me why you did that, because I think this is actually important for people. Obviously,
I should open it back up to Canada. That's a safe country to open it back up to. So.
Well, I don't know, but we're the 51st state, right?
I did the whole blue check thing because we have so much going on with like YouTube and the podcast that we do and everything else, that I did not want somebody using my profile to take advantage of my following. So I pay for the blue check. But something about paying for the blue check opens you up to gobs of spam. And in that, I have found that if you close it off to only the United States, then most of your spam goes away. So my personal profile is only open to the United States and the Philippines, just because we had to. I've got a virtual professional that's in the Philippines, and she has to be involved with that stuff. And ironically, opening it back up to the Philippines brought back about 10% of the spam, but not much. So yeah, it's still very, very manageable at that.
Yeah, but that's a tip for anybody, unless you want me to look at it at your Facebook page here in Canada, at least block it off to North America. You're going to get a lot less spam messages, spam reviews, those people who are, being paid by crypto traders to leave reviews on your Facebook page that just have links to their mentor or whatever.
Right.
It definitely helps cut down on the spam. So wanted to kind of bring that up here for people who are watching, something that you guys have done, because I know that you've kind of had you've been through the ringer with the spam there, so it's a little bit fun.
Yeah,
always fun for sure. Cool. So that's a bit about social media. What do you do on your personal page, and what would you recommend someone does on their personal page? So we've talked about the business page. Of course, we can't talk about everything, but we've got the dog treats are a way. That automatically creates social content, as we saw by that image of Mitch. But what are you doing on your personal page that ties into business, or how are you utilizing that?
Yeah, so I pretty much I try to make a post a day on the personal page, at least a post a day. Usually I end up at 3 or 4. And I try to use my personal page to send a message that that I'm a good, upstanding person in the community, and that I'm somebody that has opinions but can also be trustworthy, right? And so right now we've got a fairly tense political climate, and so you got to be kind of fairly careful with how you handle politics. But I'm kind of the belief that it's still okay to bring some of that stuff up as long as it's universally good for everybody. And so maybe every now and then I cross the line on the political side of things, but I'll be outspoken about, like, when we get great service somewhere, I'll make sure to tag the place, tag the server, whatever. If something has gone awry, I usually wait until the story is complete, and then I'll post about what happened. But I never post like I'll never post anybody like specifically targeting somebody to bring them down. Um, uh, as an individual, right? So like we just went through some issues here in our neighborhood, and I was able to post about it without revealing who it was and all of that stuff. In other words, the idea is to encourage people that like everyone's got hard stuff they're going through. We don't need to point fingers at who's causing the hard stuff. It's more or less about rallying around, not giving up and sticking through it. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a mix there. I mean, you've got your building, you've got your kids, you've got your wife. You know, you show you're a human, as well as, you know, stuff happening in the town. I mean, you and I were chatting about it before. There's kind of like, if you followed Mitch for any time at all, you know, there's like kind of an ongoing thing where he's had one Jeep stolen, one Jeep broken into, and there's a little bit, you know, there's some tension, right? And there's some like,
yeah.
hey, I'm gonna go check Mitch's page and see what's happening now.
Yeah. My wife's Jeep got stolen 5 months ago. We replaced it. It got stolen out of Kansas City, Missouri. We replaced it. But a week and a half after it got stolen, I found it, and I called the cops, and the cops refused to do anything about it.
Brutal.
And like they don't even care. And so then we replaced it, and we took it like 5 months later. We went back to the city for a wedding, like 2 or 3 Fridays ago, and somebody tried to steal it again. And it's like that vehicle's only been downtown 4 times. And 2 of the 4 times, once it got stolen and the other it got almost stolen. They weren't able to get it started because we have an advanced security system on it now, but they still did $6,000 in damage to it trying to get it started, ripping out the wiring and breaking out windows and things like that. And so, and again, Kansas City, Missouri just doesn't care. So if I ever name call anybody on social media, it's usually the mayor of KC, because auto thefts in KC have gone from like 4,500 in 2021 to over 8,000 last year. So
Wow.
like they've almost doubled in like 4 years. It's crazy.
Some
So
people need their hit of drugs, and some people just really need those white Jeeps.
yes, apparently.
Yeah, it's because you got the same color, same,
Yeah.
like pretty much.
Yeah,
the
we
same.
essentially replaced it with the identical vehicle. So yeah.
You just got that crack cocaine in the vehicle form that people want.
Yeah. We're gonna have a fun surprise for him here pretty soon, though. I'm putting together we're gonna turn that Jeep into a bait car, and we're gonna film it. And we're actually gonna film them trying to steal it, and then film the police apprehending them, and try to go full circle with it with the prosecution and everything, just to show where they're doing good and where they're not.
Well, you heard it here first, unless you follow Mitch's Facebook feed, in which you've already seen that he's planning this. But yeah, some interesting stuff there for sure. Have you seen Mark Rober and any of his stuff online on
Yes.
YouTube?
Yeah.
So for those that haven't, check out his Glitter Bomb series. It's a similar thing where he basically leaves packages out on a porch, but it's like this rigged thing where I think it's usually like a Beats headphone or something valuable that people want to steal. They open it up and it just shoots out glitter and fart spray and everything.
Fart spray, and it'll talk to him. And
yeah,
I think he uses the Home Alone voice in it.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. We're not looking to do it in that regard. Like that regard, they pretty much just film the suspects and then they just use the film, right? They don't really catch anybody. But what we're looking to do is actually find a way to safely shut down the vehicle after it's stolen and safely keep them inside the vehicle until the police get there. So we're going to probably rig the vehicle with remote like throttle. You know, we're going to be able to disable the throttle. We're going to be able to prevent the windows from being rolled down, except for the one that they broke to get into it. And then we're going to be able to prevent the doors from being unlocked, and hopefully the cops get there in time. And if they don't, it's just going to look real bad for KCMO. Like, what more do we have to do?
This is what happens when you get I'm a firm believer that plumbers are one of the most versatile of the tradespeople, because they have to do so much in so many different areas in the home. And I guess this is what happens when you mess with a plumber. I don't know if you've seen those viral videos where they like have a bike that's just lying on a sidewalk, but it's actually tied to a tree. And so the guy rides away and then goes flying off. It feels like you're doing that with the car.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Uh,
like, we do have to be careful with it. Like, I don't like, I'm sure they'll find a law that I'm in violation of, which is all part of this whole thing too. Um, but like, we're not trying to hurt the guy. We're not trying to, you know, do anything improper. We're basically looking to take a guy who's already committed a crime and detain him until the cops get there. But I can imagine that they'll find ways to charge me with something. And especially in Jackson County, in the Kansas City, Missouri County. And that'll just add to the story that, a guy that's gotten his Jeep stolen twice takes matters into his own hands, and now he's under more fire than the criminals that are stealing the vehicles. So it should be a pretty cool thing all the way around.
Well, if we could tie it back into marketing without rules, there's Mitch is someone who, he plays by the rules, but he's also, going to get out there and do it his way too.
Well,
Let's do a yeah, cross the gray areas, right? And I think that as business owners, there's certain guidelines and stuff, but the businesses that just sit back and be like, oh, that's the way everything's been done, or that's the way everybody does it, you're not going to thrive and dominate, as we head into, I mean, any time in history, but as we head into the future, that you've got to be creative and you've got to be flexible and you've got to be able to, ride the line a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's do a rapid fire here. What is a marketing tactic that you really like, but don't like to admit it?
Marketing tactic I like, but don't like to admit it. All right, I'll be real here with this one. Another thing that we do, this is so hard to talk about because it feels like you're bragging about charity. Another thing that we do is we have an initiative in our company called Family First. And what that is the first business day of each month, we find people in the community with necessary plumbing repair needs, but no way to afford them. And so we put them on our schedule on that first day of the month, and we take care of their plumbing repairs free of charge. As word spreads in the community about that, it turns into a marketing initiative because the community wants to support the company that's supporting those who are in need in the community. And it's also a very personal charitable effort as well. I'm not going to say it's easy to write $1,000 check to a charity, but it's just a whole different level whenever you're physically putting in your own blood, sweat, and tears to solve the problem, to be the resource. But that is one of the cooler marketing efforts that we do, and it's not really a marketing effort, but it becomes one just in the way that it benefits the company. So we just got a 5-star review yesterday from somebody who found out about that program, and they gave us a 5-star review simply because they like what we do in that program. We've never served that customer before.
That's cool.
So
that's cool. Yeah. I mean, when we first started talking, that was something that stood out to me, was that that program. I've talked about it multiple times since to other clients, talking about, hey, you want to stand out, do something that benefits the community, and in turn, that's going to come back tenfold to you. So
yeah,
love that. What is you work with a lot of trades guys, a lot of plumbers, but I think you're working with the garage door and even some other trades, correct?
Yeah. We kind of, with Tradewinds, we'll work with any of the home service businesses, any of the trades, plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, garage doors, tile, storm restoration, you name it.
Yeah. So in that, what's a sacred cow that's kind of in the trade space, in the contracting space, that you'd love to kill?
Sacred cow. I don't know if I know what I mean. I don't know if I know what you mean by that.
So sacred cow, I think the expression comes from the way that I know it anyway, is like in the Hindu religion, they can't kill cows, I believe is the way that goes.
Okay.
And so if there's a sacred cow in your family or in your business, there's things that you do that you kind of know you shouldn't be doing, but you do it anyway. But you don't get rid of doing it.
So like a bad habit?
A bad habit, yeah.
Okay. I think the biggest bad habit that I see in the trades industry is probably has more to do with pricing. Guys will start their own business, and because they don't have a lot of overhead, they shoot themselves in the foot by not setting their pricing correctly. And like, you not having a lot of overhead is a you decision. It's not a customer decision. And if you don't have a lot of overhead, you should be making more profit. And so another thing that I often talk about in trade wins is, the big companies in town typically charge the highest rates. Well, those guys also have on average the lowest level of experience per team member. And so if a guy with 20 years of experience is starting his own business, there's no reason at all why he shouldn't charge exactly what the bigger shops are charging, because the customer's getting a lot more experience, a lot better product, a lot more of a personal experience with the interaction. Their customer experience is better. And so there's no reason that they should get better experience, better product, better installation, better conversation, better everything, and pay less, significantly less, right? I get it if you're a little less than the big guys, but you shouldn't be half the price of the big guys for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was your wife, Danielle, posted this. I don't know if it was from a client that you guys had or
No, I
something
think
that you
she
just
found
saw
it
and
on the
reposted.
internet because I had seen it the day before. But yeah, it's a texting conversation of a customer that says the last guy did it for $1,850, and the business says, "We'll call him then," and then the customer says, "Well, he's no longer in business." And it's like,
Pretty
yeah,
self-explanatory.
pretty self-explanatory, and some people just don't get it.
Yeah, it's there's something in business owners' minds. It's like that balance between I don't want to be charged too much. There's some weird thing that we've been trained there as humans, I think.
Yeah,
And then it's like we want to land all the jobs, so you don't want to lose any jobs because you're trying to get every job you possibly can. It's a tough habit to break once you've kind of gone through that first startup phase for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you're always trying to navigate that. There's always, no matter how much you watch it, there's always going to be a customer that you may have charged a little too much on, and there's always going to be a customer that you may not have charged enough on. And look to your profit and loss statement for the guides on how well you're charging. So that's the easiest way to put that.
I like it. What is you're kind of the face of the brand. What's tricky about being the face of the brand while navigating being the boss as well?
Yeah, the face. I'm trying to do as much as I can about backing myself out of being the face, but it's very difficult to do. The challenge with that is everything's so prominent, and so like sales guys call our office asking for me by name because they know me by name, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's Paradise Plumbing and they don't know who owns it, right? It's named after me. And so that opens up a lot of doors for our CSRs to have to play gatekeeper on a lot of that stuff. The other is we'll get customers that will request me versus our team. And so then the CSRs have to let them know, like, hey, Mitch actually isn't available today. We had a customer today text me personally saying, hey, can you come out to my warehouse? And I said, well, I'm busy today, but one of our guys can. And they never did call into the main office to get one of our guys there because they don't want our guys, they want me.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
what steps are you taking when it comes to because you do a great job at it and you're wired as a marketer, even though you're running a business in the trades. What are you doing? What steps are you taking to step back? You said you're working on that, but like what's your action plan there?
Yeah, so essentially we try to offset that by letting the customers know of our 10,000 hour guarantee. And what that is we have a rule in our company that we won't put a plumber in somebody's home diagnosing issues unless they have 10,000 hours of experience. 10,000 hours of experience is the universal amount of experience needed to consider yourself a master in that craft. Ironically, it's also what's needed to get a master plumber's license is 5 years of experience. And so, we have the 10,000 hour guarantee that says all of our plumbers have a mastery level of experience. That helps the customer's mind go to ease whenever I'm not available, but one of our other plumbers can get out there because they have 10,000 hours of experience or more. So,
Yeah.
and we've got one guy with over 40,000 hours of experience. So
He's been around the block a couple times. He's seen a thing or two.
Yeah.
It's plumbing. What made you choose plumbing? I think we've talked about this in previous ones, but it'd be interesting to hear again for those listening to you for the first time. What made you choose plumbing? It's like I mentioned before, it's a very complicated art. It's not just connecting up a toilet. It's we just had a plumber out twice this week because we had water leaking down from the upstairs floor into the basement, and I couldn't figure out where it was from without tearing the whole wall apart, and didn't have time to do that. So I called him in. He, thought he fixed it the first time, still collecting water. It's a whole jigsaw puzzle, right? And
Yeah.
it's a whole puzzle to unfurl what might be the issue. What is it about plumbing that you love so much? Because I think you can do a little bit of everything based on some of the stuff I see you put out.
Yeah, so like I've done a little bit of everything in the plumbing world. New construction, residential, new construction, commercial, residential service, commercial service, like the whole 9 yards, some light industrial stuff and everything. I didn't really choose plumbing. It kind of found me. I went to college for a year. That wasn't working out. I just
What were you
wasn't.
taking?
I went to K-State for architectural engineering. And then I came back from K-State. That was only for a semester. Came back from there and I went to the local junior college, the community college, for the same architectural engineering path. But it was like I was struggling at K-State probably because of the large class size and the foreign teachers. They were hard to understand. And so it's like, man, I don't like paying this university tuition. And it's like I can't even understand my math teacher. And so I came back and went to a community college to where my money went a little bit farther for the same credits. And then after a semester at the community college, I was like, I'm still not convinced college is for me. I still don't really I thought I wanted to be an architectural engineer, but I just don't really know. And so I was like, how about I just enlist into the Navy for 5 years and then let the Navy pay for school? And so I enlisted into the Navy. I shipped out on the 5th of July. And on like July 8th or 9th, I woke up in the hospital. They had found me unresponsive on a sidewalk and I had passed out. And it was because of a cardiac issue that I had going into the Navy. And I had shared all of the information about it with the recruiting officer, but apparently he didn't pass that information along. And this particular issue was an issue where I was not supposed to be allowed into the Navy at all anyway. And so they kicked me out, sent me home. They gave me my choice for how to leave. They said you can either have a medical discharge or what we call an entry-level medical separation, which is basically like nothing ever happened. And I said, we'll go with the entry-level medical separation route because I don't want to be like, I was in the Navy for 4 days. Yeah. That's kind of a weird thing to say that. So by the time I got home from all that, it was too late to go to another semester of school. A buddy of mine was working at a plumbing company. He's actually my podcast co-host and my business partner in Tradewinds. He was working at a plumbing company and he said, hey, how about you come work for us? We're busy. We need the help. And then you can go to school next semester. And my first day as a plumber was September 11th, 2001. Everyone kind of remembers where they were that
Pretty
day.
memorable.
I sure do.
Yeah.
And I've been a plumber ever since. So
I didn't know any of that story about the background there. That's cool. And is that how, like, had you and David been friends for a while before that?
yeah, we always try to think about how long we've been friends. We don't really know when we met. We think it's like 5th or 6th grade, but we're not sure. So, but yeah, we've been friends ever since we were kids. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. So that brings us full circle to Tradewinds, which I keep alluding to and we will chat about here. That is awesome. That's cool. That's so does that condition still affect you, or like has it resolved, or?
So I had what they call a catheter ablation, where they go in through veins in your legs, and they had like 7 instruments up one leg and 8 instruments up another, an 8.5-hour procedure, and they fixed it. It was electrical imbalance where I had extra electrical nodes, and they basically circled the 2 nodes that are supposed to be there in scar tissue. They burned it and circled them in scar tissue. And so as the electrical pulses move across your heart, it can't cross the scar tissue, so it directs it. But during the seasons of life, as anxiety comes and goes, when anxiety is peaking, I will notice the arrhythmia quite a bit. So much so that I think on 3 times in the last 25 years, I've gone back to the cardiologist thinking it's coming back. And every time it just turns into be stress and anxiety induced. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
pretty wild.
That's the human body's cool. Props to modern medicine for allowing us to be chatting here today. That's quite a story.
Yeah.
I was listening to going back to plumbing and architectural engineering and everything. Plumbing is one that pops up often in chats about AI. And it's always, I don't know why people choose plumbers, but they're like, you can't replace plumbing with AI. I was listening to Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett yesterday. I think I'm actually going to have my team clip this, and I was going to send it to you.
Yeah.
But he was talking to the godfather of AI, and he's like, there's certain things that you're just not going to be able to replace. And I was thinking, yeah, looking at my house, AI couldn't have figured this out.
Right.
What was going on with the shower leak and behind the tile and everything. But it's yeah, trades is a good one. I doubt you've regretted the move that you made.
No, I don't regret it at all. And I was gonna look for that. Was looking for who said that, because I saw the article just the other day where he said, "Go be a plumber." What's his?
Yeah,
Jeffrey Hinton? Is that it?
I believe it was. Yeah, with Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of a CEO.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it to my
But yeah,
executive
plumbing
assistant.
is
I said, let's clip that out for the team.
yeah. um, the the plumbing is recession resistant, but it's also AI resistant. It's not AI proof at all, and it's not recession proof at all. It's very similar to like trash disposal.
Mm,
When a recession comes in, people still need their trash removed, but they typically have less trash to remove, and so they may not get it picked up as often or something like that, right? They may go from
yeah,
2 or 3 pickups a week to 1 or 2. Um, Plumbing is very similar. When recessions come in, people are more willing to try to do their own repairs. And so you'll lose some of the low level repairs, but the higher level repairs, they still have to have a plumber to do them. Somebody has to get on the excavator and dig the ditch and lay the pipe and glue it together. And those are things that AI and robots won't be able to do for many, many, many years. Um, AI and robots is coming into the construction industry for sure, but it's a little bit more of a static environment. I've watched a video of a robot roofer. It was this machine that would pick up the shingle and place it perfectly and put the nails in it and everything. And, that's a fairly static thing, especially once you map it out with the roof and all of that stuff. So plumbing is going to be quite a bit different with all the obstacles that we have to work around and everything else. Um, on the business side of things, like the office side of things, AI is a huge help for small businesses. I just got into a conversation with somebody yesterday about that. There is a push to ban AI regulation for a certain period of time here in the US. In other words, let it go unregulated and let it turn into what it's going to turn into. Reduce the size of government regulation, essentially. And there's a lot of people that fear that. But I think most of the people that fear that are the ones who are in jobs that could get replaced by AI. And so I firmly believe that AI will be a bigger benefit to small mom and pop companies, especially trades companies, than it will be the big global corporations. Your big global corporations are already outsourcing jobs overseas for a fraction of the rate that the local companies have to pay. So if they were to convert their staff to AI-driven staff, they're not saving near as much per person as a local company that's able to do a whole person's job duties with AI.
yeah, yeah. It's I'm a fan. I think there's that particular episode was interesting to hear some of the takes in it, but there's so much value. But yeah, you're right. Like there's been 3D printers for houses that they've been working on for years. There's different things like new construction. I think it's very templated, but once you get into like a house that's over 20 years old, you're doing remodels and stuff, like that's a pretty nuanced thing. And to
Yep.
train that, is it possible? Yeah, I'm an optimist. I think it probably is possible, but it's gonna be a few years out.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's talk some of the crazy marketing things that you guys have done, from skeletons to your go-kart to community trunk and treat. Let's just do a roll call here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw a long time ago, like right when we first started the company, I saw a picture of a police department that was using a small van go-kart in a parade. And I'm like, I want one of those. I want to make a small plumbing van for a parade. And so I started looking, and I found out that these little go-kart shells that are these small vans, they don't make them anymore, but they're back from like the 70s and they're really hard to find. And so after about 2 years of searching, I finally found one, and it was like 3 hours away in the middle of Kansas in somebody's barn. And it was an original Firestone and Rolling Stones promotional go-kart shell.
No way.
Yeah, Firestone and the Rolling Stones teamed up to make a stoner van, and that was the van, like that was the chassis for it. And there were only like 10 or 12 of them made. I bought it. It still had all the original Firestone graphics on it and everything. We've got a video on YouTube about buying it and all of that stuff. Stripped all the graphics off, repainted it, built a custom, like I found a go-kart that we could cut down and chop to fit the wheel wells and everything. And so we turned it into a plumbing go-kart. And we have a lot of fun with it. We use it for a lot of marketing stuff. We drive it in parades. We'll bust it out in the shop and just do donuts in the shop parking lot and stuff like that. One of these days, I'm just going to get in it and drive it like 10 miles away and just see how many people like tag us on social media from me driving it. I recently got like a big Luigi costume head. And so when I wear it with the costume head on top, it's pretty funny.
Pretty noticeable. So if you're listening in, go to the video version of it on Spotify or whatever. I've got it pulled up on screen here with Mitch and Danielle behind it, but it's pretty awesome, and it can move around too.
Yeah, it's fast enough to do donuts, and it'll do a wheelie. It's kind of scary to do a wheelie in it, but it'll do one. So.
It makes it happen.
Yeah.
So that's one. Let's get a few down here for people to think about, because marketing without rules, there's tactics and stuff, but there's also like, I want people to start thinking outside the box. That's something that obviously you're a fan of, I'm a fan of as well. And it's not just Google Ads and SEO and websites. There's so many different ways that you can penetrate your market. Go-karts, Luigi heads, family first is some of the stuff we've talked about, but there's a skeleton. How did that come about, and what happened there?
Yeah, so the skeleton idea was more or less just like running on the idea that attention is currency, and the more attention you have, the more currency you have. And so it's like, what can I do to make our vans stand out and not just blend in, right? And so we went and got one of those 12-foot Home Depot skeletons, and we modified it a little bit, and I drilled holes in the top of one of our vans and put weather tight, eyelets up there. And we strapped this 12-foot skeleton to the top of one of our service vans and drove around, and, people honk and wave, and they take pictures of it, and they tag us on social media, and people will call us for service, and they'll say, like, is the van with the skeleton going to come, or is it going to be a different one? Or we'll show up to a house and they just love it, and the cool trick to know that we were actually really getting a lot of attention with it is somebody stole the skeleton head off of it after it was on there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we had to go buy a new head. But that's
not really super easy to get up there to steal that either, which is hilarious.
Yeah, no, it takes a pretty good sized ladder to get on the roof of the Transit and everything. But yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. And now we're standing in our shop. We had to zip tie him to the wall of the shop so it doesn't tip over, because we had to modify it in a way. That thing is 12 feet tall from feet to head, and the arms go down, right? Yeah. Like when it's standing in your yard, the arms go down. Well, we modified it to where the arms are up, and so it's really like 14 feet long. I mean, it goes from windshield to taillights. Yeah, it was pretty cool. We even had to work with it along the way. The first time we strapped it up, we didn't have its arms strapped, and so we drive it down the highway, and the arms are like out the side, like touching semis as we're driving down the highway, just flapping in the wind. So we had to add some more anchors to it and stuff. It was pretty funny.
One of the comments on here says, "Do not modify." Immediately starts to modify.
Yes, exactly.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You even got a lead off of that, it looks like, on your video. Let's segue into YouTube while we're on the topic of different ways to market. YouTube is not something that people might think of putting up a few videos for FAQs, stuff like that. You have grown a YouTube channel to 22K plus subscribers. How has that affected your lead flow? I mean, I'm seeing just on the skeleton video here, someone's mentioning the noises that they've had in their drain, and they're asking some questions here.
Yeah, so we used YouTube to establish another marketing channel, another lead source, but also a way to establish that we are the authority in this space. And so we had some rules for how we would make videos and all of those kinds of things. And essentially we were looking to make videos that would help the customer out, but that would also paint our business in a very good light. And so some of these videos are DIY, some of these videos are educational, some of these videos are informational. We were one of the first people in the nation to receive a Ford e-Transit. And so we made a whole bunch of videos about the e-Transit that aren't really related to plumbing, but it's like, how far can you go on a charge? What happens when it dies? And all of those things. So like, we were marketing without rules. Like we drove the e-Transit. I had my videographer in the passenger seat and we drove it until it died in the middle of a highway. And we had to call a tow truck and, all of these things. And, and I don't want to say it was scripted because we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to drive it until it died, but we didn't know what was going to happen when it died.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were going to lose brakes and power steering and all that stuff. But we kind of got away from the e-Transit videos because we were confusing YouTube's algorithms and they were thinking maybe we're an automotive review channel. And so we put a pause on all videos with vehicles and we started just focusing on plumbing. But we've got some of the better plumbing videos out there on YouTube. Hopefully, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. There we go. We've got, let's see, this video's got 706,000 views and it's about thermal expansion. Like it's one of the more boring plumbing subjects there is. It's a 31-minute long video, but it is probably the most viewed video on thermal expansion on the internet. And so what that does for us is that gives us a very impressive sense of authority in our market. And it allows us to establish ourselves as the company to call if you're in this area. The other thing that it allows us to do is on those community Facebook pages where people are asking for plumbers, a way that we can make sure that we are seen as the authority is a lot of times I will post a picture of the thumbnail in the comment and I'll answer the person's plumbing question. I'll put a link to the video that answers their question in the comment, and then I'll tag our business in it, and I'll say, we can be reached at 816 Smedley, and if you have any questions or would like us to take care of this for you, we can totally do that. And so what that does to everybody reading for the original poster that posted the question, usually it answers their question in a more established way than anybody else. But also for anybody else reading it or watching it, they see how much work we've put into everything else other than plumbing. And so they can easily rest assured that when it comes to plumbing, like if we have time to make YouTube videos, we've got plumbing under control.
Yeah.
So, and then the view counts on some of those videos really help too.
What kind of water heater should I buy? So this was a condensed. This was the big one. Was this the test that you did?
Yeah. So we went and bought we bought an A.O. Smith water heater from Lowe's, and then we bought a professional grade A.O. Smith water heater from our supplier, and we ripped them apart and compared them. We weighed each individual part. We were trying to we already know that the Lowe's water heaters don't last long, compared to the contractor, like the professional grade, but we were trying to figure out why don't they last long? What is different about them? And there's about a 10-pound weight difference between the two units. The parts are different between them. We show all that in the video, but then we fill them with water and then we add air pressure to them until they explode. And the idea there is let's see which one leaks first. And of course the box store unit leaks first. It leaked first in a less than glorious fashion, which is pretty common. That's what we see in the real world. We see box store units leaking. The pro grade unit held more pressure, but then when it went in a more glorious fashion and it ruptured. So
it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
No, it's cool here. What kind of toilet should I buy? You guys do some really random tests, but it's again, it's stepping outside the norm when it comes to, there's people on YouTube that do plumbing DIY videos and stuff, but for a active plumbing company, this was something that, made you guys stand out and has made you guys stand out in your market.
yeah, yeah.
What
For a
are
plumbing
some other
channel
things
to
that
have
you got?
20,000 subscribers, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. So to wrap up the roll call here, what are a couple other things that you guys have done marketing wise that's not,
Um,
the norm?
Yeah. So like we always do a little bit of community stuff where we'll sponsor, little kids football teams and stuff like that. That's more about just helping the football team out. Like nobody calls you because they saw your 2-inch poorly done logo on the back of a football kids t-shirt. But we like this year we sponsored a micro sprint car and bought the whole car. Like I didn't buy the car, but I bought the rights to advertise on the whole car.
Yeah.
And so we've got a little micro sprint car that's running around, and it's piloted by a 10-year-old that is cute as can be, and he's pretty stinking good. And so he's raced 4 races so far, and he's placed in the top 3 on 2 of those 4 races. And so we have a lot of fun with it. We're actually going racing tomorrow night with him. So
That's awesome. I get the sense that you have a love for vehicles and moving fast. Is that a thing? Because we've got the micro sprint car, we've got the skeleton on the vehicle, we've got the go-kart.
yeah, got a motorcycle, got a boat. Like I like things with horsepower and engines and go fast things. So
I love it. I love
yeah.
it. And you guys also do trunk or treat. Some of the less common things. Do you ever do touch a truck or anything like that?
No, we haven't done the touch a truck stuff just because the inside of a plumbing truck can be a little questionable, right?
Sure.
And let's be honest, a plumbing truck doesn't like that pales in comparison to a dump truck or a loader like a skid steer or something.
Although if you took it with a skeleton, then
yeah, that would be a little different, right? We could do touch a truck with a go-kart.
I was thinking that too. Yeah,
So
that'd be good.
But yeah, we do some trunk or treats where I wear this inflatable toilet costume. You can probably, if you Google inflatable party pooper costume, you'll see exactly what it is. But ironically enough, we like a lot of times these trunk or treats will hand out prizes. And like I take my Ford Lightning, which is all electric, so it's got a frunk. And so that kind of amazes them right out of the gate that they're getting candy out of where the hood would be. And usually we just have like some company advertisements under the hood, and then we set a toilet out front, and they get their candy out of a toilet bowl. And
Who doesn't love that?
Little things like that just go a long way. Like it's funny because a 3-year-old will walk up to the toilet and they start crying and the parents are like, "Don't worry, you don't need to use it." You can tell they're going through some potty training trauma.
I'm actually trying to find a picture of it here from you. I'm trying to quickly scroll through the feeds here, but yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Anything else that comes to mind there that could spark something for people?
Trying to think of what else. When my videographer rides along with the plumbers, if the customer has a dog, sometimes we will take professional photos of the dog without the customer's knowledge, and then we'll edit them up. And then a few days after our service call, we'll email them to the customer and just say, "Hey, we took these. I thought you would appreciate this."
That is awesome.
And those have always been well received. Trying to think of what else, like really just any way that we can unconventionally get in front of our target customer. I try to avoid TV and billboards because like half of the population rents, and I can't sell to renters. And so, in billboards, especially, some of the people driving by that are traveling through town, and you're just kind of wasting ad dollars there. And we have done TV before, but it was OTT. And for those that don't know what OTT is, that's pumping out TV commercials on streaming platforms where you can laser target who sees it. And it's not like everybody watching the 5 o'clock news sees your commercial. It's like our protocol when we were doing the OTT commercials was female homeowners with a household income of 150 grand or more in these specific zip codes. And if my wife was watching a show and my neighbor was watching a show, and my wife fit the demographic and my neighbor didn't, my wife would see the ad and my neighbor wouldn't, even though the show was playing at the exact same time. But they would see two completely different ads, because you can do that with the streaming platforms. You can target to the individual profile.
What's the percentage of male versus female that calls in? Is that something that you guys track?
It is. I mean, what we don't really see a big correlation of like female to male on the call in, but the female is usually the one driving the bus whenever it comes to making the decision, nagging the husband to finally call the plumber, all of those kinds of things.
Guilty
right?
as charged.
Yeah. So another cool thing we do is we have stickers that say plumber in training, and we give them to the kids whenever, like if a kid, some kids are super inquisitive and they're going to play with your tools and they're going to watch you work the whole time and everything else. And so we give them a sticker. We will also give stickers to the husbands that tried to fix it and then had to resort to calling a plumber. We'll give them a sticker if the mood is right and we know we're not going to offend him. The wife usually gets a really good kick out of that.
What is that custom one that you got made?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one pop up, but I did find the toilet here. So this is for those
pooper,
tuning in. The party pooper, yeah. So you've got the toilet here with the candy, and then you and
and that one was from one of the first trunk or treats we did. There's my wife wearing it. That's when we were.
Yeah, I had to go way back. This is 2022.
But last year we were doing it with our Ford Lightning, so we had the frunk of the Ford Lightning there too, which is just kind of interesting.
Way cooler. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. Yeah, I had to go way back 2022 to find that one.
Yeah.
But shoot me a picture of the stickers. We'll include all of this in the blog post. That'll be great.
Yeah.
That's again, these little touches, right? Down to dog treats and stickers, all of that fun stuff that gets people going. What I know we got the coloring book through for you. What have you guys done with that?
Yeah, so the guys will hand the coloring book out to, customers in their homes and everything else. If you go to Amazon.com, and this is all credit to Lewis here. I didn't even this wasn't my brainchild, but you go to Amazon.com and you type in Smedley Plumbing Coloring Book, you'll find it. It's $5. And it's a pretty cool way to get your plumbing company on Amazon.com.
Yeah, that was fun. Something we tried, and you guys would be a fit for it with everything else that you're doing. So
yeah,
fun stuff. Let's switch to Tradewinds. So Tradewinds is kind of a culmination of you and David. I just learned for the first time on the pod that you guys go way back.
Yeah,
which is cool. Kind of fills out the picture even more for me. But you both have the experience. And you're helping people. You've referred people over to us that have become clients that are in the program. So I've got to kind of see some different angles of it, and really solid things that people have to say about it. But what would you say, if you had to sum it up, what would be the reason that someone would join it, or who's like an ideal person to join it, and what are they going to get out of it?
Yeah. So essentially Tradewinds started about 6 months into business. We were doing so well and got off the ground fairly well that I was like, I feel like I should share what I did. I feel like there's other people that want this info. And so we started a podcast called The Void, where we help people go from employee to self-employed in the trades space. After running that podcast for a little over a year, we were getting enough traction with the podcast and enough like personal questions from people that were asking for advice that we decided to start Tradewinds, which is a coaching and mentorship organization for new trades business owners. Or small trades business owners. Doesn't necessarily have to be new. And the idea is there's a lot of tradesmen out there that are really good at their craft, but they aren't very good at business. And so we come in and help give them the business insights so that they can do their craft more for more people. And our kind of niche is we'll help you get your business off the ground, and we'll help you get to your first 1 to 3 million in annual revenue. There's a lot of business coaches out there that'll take your $3 million business to 5 or your $5 million business to 10 or whatever. And those guys are charging like 10 grand a month. And so we kind of found this niche of smaller shops that are struggling to even get into the level that a formal business coach would help them with. And so we came out with some package pricing that's ultra cheap, starts at as cheap as $250 a month. And we've got a lot of content out there for how you can be tracking your KPIs and your metrics. We give you a lot of resources when you join. We'll give you a lot of Excel spreadsheets and everything else. So essentially, we have a lot of guys that come to us that have been in business for several years and they've been stuck at one truck. And then after being with us for 6 to 9 months, they're ordering truck number 2 and truck number 3 and so on. So it's usually just a little bit of reshaping how they're thinking about things.
I find as a business owner, again, I'll go back to what I said about, the good things I've heard from the guys that are in it. But as a business owner, it can be lonely, and it can be, you've got tough decisions that come up. And if you don't have someone that you can bounce those off, you can kind of, feel a little bit lost.
Right.
And so even to have you guys to, because I know you guys will help people with, anything that they have, anything that you can help them with or point them to someone, having that resource for, as low as $250 a month, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy, especially as a new business owner, because things can get overwhelming real fast. Hiring people, figuring out how to balance, all the workload and where to get leads from, and you're kind of spinning so many plates at once that you don't have time to focus on all of them as deep as you might like to. And so having someone to be able to come in and diagnose is it's so valuable.
Yeah,
so valuable.
We refer to it as failing faster, right? Like take the failures of everybody in the group, including myself and David, and we're going to speed your timetable up because we've already failed in this area and know it doesn't work. So don't even try it, right? What we found after doing this was that we had to do it this way. And so, save you the 2 or 3 months of agony and dollars of whatever you're about ready to embark on and fail on, and we'll just help you do it the right way. And that could be hiring somebody, it could be acquiring your first truck, it could be how you set up your price book, like anything and everything. So we even sell price books. We have a plumbing price book and an HVAC price book that we sell. And that's only $250. And like most price books out there are 10 grand or more, or you lease them for $150 a month indefinitely. And so,
brutal.
Yeah, I misspoke. Our price book's $299, not $249. So
you just got a only heard here special from Mitch.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, it's interesting. What do you find is something that, out of all the guys and girls coming through the program, like what are some of the things that people who are starting or people who are, going to the next level, what are they kind of bumping their heads against?
Usually it's basically getting them out of their own way. We're all guilty of this. We're the biggest bottleneck in our own business. And you'll have guys that want to grow, but they don't want to relinquish control. Or they want to grow, but they want everything to be perfect. And 80% done is better than perfect every day of the week, because you can get it 80% done really quick. It might take you 4 times as long to perfect it. Well, you might as well get it 80%. Chances are your idea of perfect isn't right anyway. And so get it 80% done and start working it at 80%. And you're going to learn real quick that, okay, I thought that it needed to be done this way, but now that I know and I'm in doing it, I actually got to do it this way. And so a lot of what we're teaching is like simple SOPs and processes to where you can empower your team to win and free up your time. One of our clients was getting 140 phone calls a day from his team. And so we worked with him for about 2 months on how to, like, what was causing the phone calls and everything else. And now he's down to under 20 phone calls a day. Wow. And so, and his business is performing better. His team is happier. And obviously he's happier because his phone's not ringing from his team so much, and it's usually little stuff. And a lot of times what we find is people generally know the right answer, but if you don't have anybody to bounce that answer off of and validate this is the right way, or they'll know of 2 or 3 right answers, but they don't know which one to go with, right? And being able to bounce those off of like a trusted board of advisors is massive to help you make decisions quick and implement quick.
Yeah, the bottleneck we often are. I think Dan Martell says it this way. He says 80% done by someone else is 100% effing awesome.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, like it's tough to get into that mindset, but once you unlock it, it's like, man, that is incredible.
Yeah.
So
like
it's that constant.
one of the, so like just using round numbers, like if I have a truck out there on the road and I'm driving that truck, I may be able to do $10,000 in revenue a week out of that truck. Well, if I hire somebody else and they're doing it all and they do $8,000 in revenue, that's a win, because exactly of what you said, it's 80% done by somebody else. So yeah.
And then that's scalable, and you can really go from there.
Yep.
What do you find a lot of the guys that you're helping misunderstand about marketing, or kind of get hung up on? Do you find that they're kind of hanging back and you need to kind of push them, or what's your take there?
Yeah, most people are missing the authenticity part. They or they think people are interested in their thing, and they're not, right? You go look at any commercial out there. You go look at a cologne commercial. They don't talk about the fragrance. They show beautiful people enjoying the smell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, heck, I hate using this analogy, but like every medical commercial. Do you guys have medical commercials in Canada?
Oh,
like
yeah. Well, I've certainly seen them. I don't watch TV, so I guess I can't answer that.
So like in the
affirmatively.
US,
Yeah,
we have
I know what you mean.
tons of pharmaceutical commercials, right? Basically, they're signing you up to go be your own doctor, and you to go to the doctor and say, I need this drug. And you're like asking for the drug from the doctor. But the common theme with all of those is it's elderly people in bright colored flowing clothes walking on a beach, like living their best life, right? Yeah. And so they don't really talk about the drug. They talk about like all the other things except for the drug. And so like we have to do that in our trades worlds too. Don't talk about the turning of the wrench. Don't talk about the, why you need to change your air filter out in your furnace. Like, show pictures of the real. Show pictures of the nasty, disgusting, like extreme case air filter thing. Show pictures of the customer's dogs that you're interacting with in their homes, the kids or whatever, right? We were in a customer's house here recently, and they had an old custom-made golf club cart out of, like, they took 2 or 3 bicycles and welded them together. And this thing had like wooden placards for your clubs to set in, and it had holes in the top for the balls to rest in and everything. And this thing was like from the 40s probably. But post a picture of that. Like, you never know what you're going to find in a customer's basement. Those kinds of things are huge. Anything you can do with humor is also funny, whether it's playing jokes on your guys, whether it's telling jokes or anything like that. Anything you can do to establish that you're real and that you're a lot more interesting than your craft always helps.
Here's an example of that. Funny from, this is actually posted on your Google business profile, but I know you have more that you share here. One sec. This is what your water heater looks like while you buy a new cookware set.
Yeah, there you go.
all the different memes as your water heater is close to expiring,
getting ready to burst.
Yeah, here's a funny one with a dog. Cold shower. It's this is your Google business profile. Again, I'm not even looking at your Facebook page here, but yeah, there's a lot of value in catching attention. Bringing some levity to people's lives and marketing that way.
Yeah. Now, as we did just learn here recently, we learned 2 things Google doesn't like for posting for pictures on the business profile. One thing is they don't like posting pictures of presidents of any side. They will consider that a political post. So I had made a post since, anytime any new president comes in America, they always sign a bunch of executive orders. So I edited a photo of Trump holding up an executive order, and the executive order said fix pipes and pet dogs. And that was on our profile for like 4 months. And then all of a sudden it got taken down for being a political post. And all it said is the only executive order I care about, and it's fix pipes and pet dogs. Yeah. We had another one where we had our phone number in the description of the photo. And that got flagged too, which that one was kind of weird. You helped us with that one for sure. That one was kind of weird because they didn't really tell us why they took it down. They just took it down for their photo editing policies. And like, it wasn't even a photo we grabbed off the internet. The photo was of my expansion tank in my basement. But the description of the photo said, if you are worried about your home's pressure, give us a call at 816 Smedley. And somehow that Google didn't like that.
Yeah, the trick with that particular one is like if you can use their learn more or their call now buttons in the post. They like that. They don't want you to. It comes from people trying to like edit pictures to have phone number and address and everything on the picture to try and get the algorithm to push it higher, and then stuffing the thing with keywords and phone numbers and websites. So yeah, interesting stuff there. I met with another guy who deals with a lot of suspensions, and we're writing a blog post on that to so you can pass that out to your guys and stuff. But yeah, always fun stuff to pivot and learn about.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's something that we didn't talk about? I know we're even over the hour here. It's always fun to chat with you, Mitch, and I think you bring a lot of outside the box, things. What is something that we haven't chatted about that we should chat before we wrap up?
Probably two things. One is the importance of Google reviews today and in the past. Google reviews have always been huge. And it's not necessarily as much about the score as about the constant influx of Google reviews. Rather than getting 20 a month, but all 20 in one day a month, you want to get 20 spread across the whole month. And we're pretty good at getting Google reviews. We do not use any review service. We don't use a Podium or a Nearby Now or any of those other sources that will help you get reviews. We do it all in-house. So that's kind of nice. It makes the authenticity really good. It makes you look better to Google because you're not gating. A lot of those services will gate reviews, and if it's a 4-star or less, it goes internally, and if it's a 5-star or more, it goes to Google, and Google hates that, and so we don't do that. Yeah, we just crossed 1,200 Google reviews. We got a 4.9 rating. Pretty proud of it. I think we only have like 30 or 40 reviews that aren't a 5-star. And even like over half of the 1-stars we have are illegitimate. They're from, people that
a smear campaign locally or whatever.
Yeah, smear campaign, or they have a bad interaction on social media, so they try to attack your business by giving you a bad review, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, the importance of Google reviews is huge. That'll help your Google LSA perform better. That helps your Google business profile perform better, all the way across the board. I don't know where the importance of Google reviews will rank as AI starts coming around a lot more, with the different, chat GPTs and all of those kinds of things. There is going to be an importance on ranking in chat GPT. And if chat GPT continues coming on as strong, then the importance of Google reviews might actually take a second place seat to ranking well on chat GPT and all the other various, whichever, Gronk or whatever other chat AI you're using.
Yeah. So there is the way to leverage the Google reviews is to try and get your customers to leverage them for the AI, whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or Perplexity or any of them, is to try and get the customers to talk about what you did on the job. That will help on Google too, but then it can pull that information as fresh info that's constantly updating the engines as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone to ChatGPT and asked, what's the best plumber in Blue Springs? And like, without being biased, I know it's us. But what's funny is the top 3 results for ChatGPT, the plumbers aren't even based out of Blue Springs. So, that's a thing where that's our next step to work on and dominate, is we want to dominate in the search rankings on the chat side of things, because that will become a thing before too long. It won't be too long before you're able to go pull open your AI app and you're able to tell it, like, book me a call with an SEO company for my company, with the best SEO company for my company. And chat will just handle everything for you. It'll it'll put it on your calendar. It'll reach out to the SEO company. It'll handle everything.
You can do that with certain agents now. I just use ChatGPT to find a place for our date next week.
Yeah.
Find a restaurant based on what I was looking for. There's stuff we're working on, and I know you're working on some stuff too. But the more you can be in multiple places with your business, you and I were talking about this. Reddit is a big one. Google and the chat agents pull from Reddit. Get on there and look for people who are looking for plumbing in your area or some questions, and offer suggestions. Chat with them, answer the questions, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We're working on some stuff too that we'll be rolling out for you guys, as I was telling you, just to feed more info. Medium articles, LinkedIn articles, things like that about your business. It's not just your website, but it's
Yeah.
it definitely is pulling from your website as well. So a lot of the SEO stuff on your website plays right into what the bots are looking for too.
Yeah. 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 We're really media friendly in our company with all the YouTube stuff and everything else. We've been fortunate enough to be interviewed by quite a few global news agencies. And then we always get backlinks to the site for that, which helps a ton, makes you very Googleable when you do that. So all of those things are pretty sweet.
Absolutely. Well, Mitch, always a pleasure to chat. It's been too long since we did a recording like this, but knew it was time to kind of pull some of those nuggets out. You know, it's if the Jeep anecdote didn't tell you guys, he's someone who's not scared to push the limits of what is normally accepted, and there's a lot of power in that as a marketer and as a business owner. Obviously, don't go all out raging to the left or to the right politically. Be a person, be a community member, be someone that someone would want to hang out with at a party, and you can use social media, you can use a lot of these other things really powerfully.
Yeah. There's you can't win a championship with a clean jersey. So you're going to need to get down and get dirty, and you're going to need to, there's a common theme with, championship winners. They're always accused of cheating. And it's because they're pushing the boundaries. And even every once in a while, they find a gray area where at the time it's not cheating, but then they make a new rule to say, no, you can't do this. Yeah. If people watching this are NASCAR fans, take Clay Chastain from a year or two ago, where he needed to get up in like the 5th position to qualify for a championship, and he was like 12th in the last half of a lap, and he pinned it and put his car into the wall and rode the wall at full throttle while the whole rest of the pack was down on the inside line, and he got up into like 3rd. And so he got the transfer spot and he made it through. And now that's illegal. You can't do that now in NASCAR, but it takes pushing those boundaries in those ways to make people question like how hard you want it, and to answer the question for yourself of how hard you want it. And if you aren't willing to push boundaries, you don't want it very hard.
I think that's a perfect way to end. There's lots of nuggets in here, guys. As I always say, go back, find one thing, whether it sparks an idea or complements something you're already doing. Just go back and find one thing and improve how hard you want it. Do you really want it, or do you not? Go follow Mitch. He's Mitch Smedley everywhere. Smedley Plumbing on Facebook. I think Canadians will be able to see his Facebook page again here soon, so that'll be good.
I'll do that as soon as we get off the call. So
follow the shenanigans there. But Mitch, thank you again for coming on. Always appreciate watching you on social media, the insights that you bring. Watching you and seeing you inspire other people with trade wins. And we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome, guys. We will see you on the next one. Talk soon.